Well, what's going on, everybody? I am Bird Dog John. Welcome to another edition of Bird Dog Live. Hopefully, you're doing well. Let's make sure that we can see and hear everything that we expect to see and hear on this show. So, okay, I can hear it on my iPad, which is on YouTube, which is at the home of our Bird Dog show, which is right here at birddogjohn.tv. It's been a busy week so far. A fair bit of stuff is going on, and I'm happy to talk about any of it that you might have, that you might want to talk about. I was away yesterday, so I'm Canadian by birth, and so it was Canadian Thanksgiving yesterday, is the traditional day held for Canadian Thanksgiving. Fair bit different than the American style Thanksgiving, but I was away and was hanging out with my family for the weekend. Took my wife and kids over to the Toronto area, and that's where my folks live. So we hung out there for a few days and did some driving yesterday, Friday night, and yesterday. Um, as just traveling through Ontario, so that was fun. Um, but yeah, it was a great trip. Got a chance to see my folks, and I was out yesterday. So anyway, so back at it today, and I got one guy away, one guy sick, one guy here at the office, and one guy haven't heard from yet. So we'll find out where he's up to, probably coming in after the show. So all good. We're here. I've been answering tickets this morning, as well as just trying to cross some things off the list that came up over the weekend. So it's been a busy morning. Hopefully you are doing well. What's going on, Go Web? Always nice to see you from India. Pretty great. And say hello to your daughter, Sanaya. It's good to see you too. Hopefully you're doing well. Um, okay, so as always, feel free to put any chat. I don't care if it's an NDI question or not. Throw it in the chat window, and we will discuss whatever it is that you'd like to kind of go over. I've also thankfully my Snacks on Stream manager Brayton is out today, but Balu to the rescue. So he has brought in some spooky snacks. Apparently, there's like a variety pack that he picked up, and of course, I have this Coca-Cola with coffee. This time it's caramel, so we're going to give that a go later on in the show, and we'll have a go with that. So good times. Looking forward to that. I also purposefully didn't really schedule or plan anything for today, other than I want to be able to be available to answer your questions. That's the thing. One of the pieces is like we have a Facebook page, right? And we have various outlets that we communicate through. Of course, we have the help desk, which, by the way, if you have a technical question that you need some help with, feel free to hit us up at help@birddog.tv. That is where you get a ticket created, and we can walk you through that process. I got a group of great technicians and guys, and that group is expanding quickly, that can help you with that stuff. So feel free to reach out to us at help, and we can give you a hand. If, however, you want to know, the capabilities of our products, if you're looking around, you have some questions about the product line before you buy, feel free to hit us up at hello@birddog.tv. We have salesmen that are hanging out in that email all the time. They're able to get you kind of going in the right direction, understanding what's required for NDI and all that sort of great stuff. So hello@birddog.tv is the place to be if you have pre-purchase questions. And then once you purchase it, if you're having any issues, feel free to reach out to us at help. And I got a good team there as well. What's going on here to record? It is nice to have you finally see a live show. Thanks for hanging out with us. Where do you hail from? And welcome to the stream. If this is one of your first times, then glad that you could join a few minutes. We usually have people from all over the world that chime in. GoWeb is out in India. We have a guy that sometimes checks in from Australia. He's up late, so he hangs out. And then people from the States and Europe and what have you that like to hang out as well. So always nice to have folks. You can also tell my studio is slowly evolving. I feel like the coloration stuff. This is kind of where I want to keep it now for a little while. But I got lights. I got some RGBs of a little more interesting to look at. So it's not just a floating head on a black background, but I like it. So that's all good. GoWeb says, "Hey, so what updates do you have from us for Bird Dog?" Well, the big update that happened just overnight was that a new beta has hit the Bird Dog Facebook group for Quad, and in particular, I'm happy to talk about it because it does kind of involve um, an issue that we discovered, with the rest of the NDI industry. Let's put it that way. So everybody's kind of having this issue, but we are looking for solutions to make this work for our stuff. So let me throw this up here so that you can see, and I'll jump over to my screen real quick. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to share my desktop here so that you can see. Um, and before I do that, I'll try to like explain what's going on here. So here is the post that the owner Dan had put up, and he's there's a something that we've discovered inside the NDI protocol that we're trying to fix within Bird Dog Engineering, at least, but it may take the powers that be to also kind of help things out here. But essentially, sources that are being connected to the network that are Windows based need to be connected over a 1 gigabit Ethernet connection, and it's not really inherent. It's more inside the protocol itself that's causing this problem. So Windows-based programs that are being connected to the network need to have a 1 gigabit interface. And then our products, like the ones that are doing, various channels, especially quad, they can be connected via 1 gig or 10 gig connection. Of course, the fastest that you can get right now is 10 gig with the SFP plus port that's on the quad. So if you can connect it via 10 gig, but the Windows sources all need to be coming over with a 1 gig. So we're trying to figure out what's going on here because it's kind of an interesting problem, we'll say. But this is kind of the initial layout that Dan has put out there, that if you're going into um, a switch like the 4250, you need to be going into it with a 1 gig connection. Now, the other thing that was discovered in this post, and I don't know, let me see the post? No, okay. So another thing that Dan has here in this post, he kind of lays it out, and we can take a look at this. So he says, "Hi all." I'll narrate this to you just so if you're listening to the show, not watching. I know there's some people in this group that have been especially waiting for the update for Quad. First of all, this beta is not intended as a final firmware. It's an interim update for some benefits for some current users, along with some performance benchmarks and boundaries that we've also discovered. This firmware is intended not as the full NDI 5 version, nor does it have Silicon 2, but it's a performance build that should be beneficial, that increases across the board performance based on still across the board while we are still progressing with some of the much larger updates on this platform. The main thing that is noticeable about this build is the way that the device handles higher bitrate sources, and in particular, those that are 4 times UHD 60 decoding simultaneously. Over the course of optimizing firmware, we've discovered some important network considerations that need to be taken in account at this stage. First of all, flow control needs to be turned on. Okay, that's an opposite to NDI structure, by the way. So flow control needs to be turned on. And if you're using a 4250, the NDI 5 profile already has this turned off by default. Synchronous is the preferred flow control method. So flow control needs to be turned on in this instance. Receiving 4K 60 sources from one Windows source machine over a 10 gig connection is not supported with this firmware. And this is that issue that we've kind of discovered, okay? However, Windows-based NDI sources must be connected via 1 gigabit Ethernet to your network. That doesn't seem to be the case with Linux, by the way. So we know it's Windows rooted. BirdDog devices, sources, cameras, and converters can all be connected with 1 gig or 10 gigs. So we're not running Windows, iOS, or anything like that. We're running a different platform, and we can do 1 or 10 gigs. But sources that are coming from a Windows platform, especially if you're doing 4 times 60, which is almost impossible over 1 gig, they all have to be connected via 1 gig. And so that's really kind of what we've discovered. Now, the cover image shows a supported scenario which the quad is receiving 4K 60 sources. The engineering team continues to work on the next major update, which will be intended to address the requirement for 1 gig sources being connected via Windows along with NDI 5. So BirdDog's trying to solve this themselves. Expect more updates soon. In the meantime, the whole team at BirdDog hopes that you'll find this beta update beneficial. This update is provided as a beta. There are no additional manuals or release notes at this time for this future update. We welcome your constructive feedback only. And so let's take another look here at what we're you know kind of looking at, because I want you to just kind of see. So sources, 4K sources that are coming into the Switch need to be coming in over a 4K, I'm sorry, over a 1 gig connection. So that's these blue lines here. And then the Bird Dog devices can all be connected via 10 gig if you want to be sending 4 sources to the quad. So that's kind of how that has played out. And that's the most recent news from the Bird Dog guys in regards to quad. I also saw on Facebook, so I can confidently say this. Somebody said any update on when NDI 5, the final firmware for NDI 5, will be coming out for P200. This is by Martin Van Kempen. 6 hours ago, when will the new Bird Dog P200 firmware be released? And Dan has gone on there and said, we're shooting for this week. Look out for camera firmware 0.064, which would be the next iteration. So good news there. I do have a beta for that, and we are testing that currently. Of course, we're shooting for this week, but we can't give absolute guarantees in regards to that. So there you go. What quad can do as of today, and what's expected for it to do in the future? Well, there's a big laundry list of items that they hope it'll do. But currently, I know it will do, I believe it's 4. Let me look it up. It's encode 4 sources, decode 2 sources at 4K. And I think that according to the release notes, all of the formats, the 1080i, 1080p, 50, 60s, and 4K 60 and 30 should all be functional. But I do know, check those release notes that come with the download packet from the website, what the limitations are. Those are the latest release notes that should be adhered to. So there's like 40 different hardware products, so forgive me for not knowing the latest release notes on the quad. I guess I could download it and find out, but bandwidth is a premium. I'm running this vMix machine again. It keeps jumping between 90% and 65, currently in the 60% range. What I find interesting is that the CPU usage in vMix along the bottom readout is not the same as the Task Manager CPU usage. So riddle me that. I have no idea why that is the case. Ooh, and in other news, I have ordered some eGPU units to put a video card, connecting a video card to this NUC computer that I have. And so we're going to see if that increases performance. Those should be arriving later today. So pretty excited about that. I have a Quadro 4000 that's sitting in here. It's actually an RTX 4000, but anyways, it still classifies as a Quadro. I'm just curious as to if that changes the ability to, the encode process, if they'll use the GPU for that. So fingers crossed. I've actually got 2 of them coming because I have 2 GPU cards, and that might be a fun way to test how it works with various computers, including Mac-based stuff. So we're doing a lot of more video editing out of the studio. I'm not producing it on YouTube, but I'm actually putting an education module together, which we talked about on Thursday's show. And we're going to go back down that path because it was really well worth conversation. But anyways, I'm curious as to if adding an external GPU will increase the processing power on the encode side. So stay tuned for that. Maybe we'll do some live testing on Thursday in regards to that. So all right, let's keep going. So with the new version of the beta version of the firmware update 5.0, what are the risks to updating our Bird Dog P200? So that firmware, I keep telling people this, but it's unfortunately the naming convention is stuck on the website as it is. But anyways, until they officially release it as a public firmware, they're not going to take the beta name off, which is causing a lot of people to be hesitant about the NDI 5 update in general. You really don't need, as far as I'm concerned, this camera included, we're running NDI 5. And I'm having the occasional frame drop I've noticed, but that's really CPU related in vMix. It's not the camera itself or my network. The network's nice and clean. If I run Dyno on this camera, I get all the frames and everything. So it's really a CPU issue that's being exhibited here. And Michael Graves, who is my vMix, he's my vMix advocate. He says the RTX will allow you to do multiple hardware encodes and reduce the CPU, which I'm thrilled about because that is what I want to do. So we're going to fire that up here later today and see how that goes. Hey, Michael, question for you. I'll get right back to you about that P200 question. Michael, question for you. Hopefully you can help me in the comment section. When I open vMix and I'm recording to MP4. Generally, when I first start doing that, the video will stutter, but the audio will be nice and clean. And the video is clean inside vMix, but the recording is not recording clean. And I generally have to restart vMix like 5 or 6 times to really get it to do that correctly. Any idea what's causing that? Is it just my encode? Like I thought that might be what might be going on, is that the actual recording module is just getting swamped with the light GPU that I have on this NUC, and so that's why I'm updating and upgrading. But anyways, question for you about that. How can I make the recording smooth every time when I hit record? I just want it to record smooth. But when I do that now, the video clearly is not rendering correctly. So, okay. So the beta version gives you the ability to use RUDP, which is an NDI 5 function, and that's been really stable. It does increase performance overall. So that's a great little feature. It also lightens the network load a little bit. So RUDP is helpful. But the beta, I would have confidence in this current NDI 5 beta. I think it's on 0.54 right now. That's on the website, maybe 0.53. I can't remember. But I wouldn't hesitate if you want to go to NDI 5 and you're ready to move your fleet in your production over to NDI 5. I wouldn't hesitate to do it. There are some obviously there's a new web UI update, and there's a fair bit of other stuff that's going on, and so it's nice to have those options. Now NDI 4 is the latest public release stable version, so 4.5 is fine if you want to stay on there until the public release. That NDI, the camera update, we're hoping to have done sometime this week or next. Dan has gone on Facebook and said we're hoping for this week, so that's safe to say for me to regurgitate that information at this point. And I do know that they're really close. We've been talking about this final release for NDI 5 extensively for 2 weeks now. So have confidence in that beta, and the next one that comes out should also be obviously will be stable. But it's all good. We're excited about NDI 5, but the beta version has been up there, has been stable for quite some time. Some people online went in and said, oh, it's not even usable. And I don't know what the problem is, because I use it every single day, and it is a great little piece of firmware. So I don't know what problems they're having, but it may be an internal thing. I would definitely not move to NDI 5 if you are in the middle of production. Wait until you have kind of some downtime to get into it, to test it, to make sure that it's going to work exactly as you think it does, and that you have time to ask me questions here on the show, or send me emails at help@birddog.tv, or me and my team, and help you iron out any sort of hiccups that you may encounter. But I have found it incredibly stable, and all of my cameras are, except with the exception of the overhead camera, are all running NDI 5. So I would have confidence in moving over to that platform. Obviously, the 110 and 120 cameras are all in NDI 5, which is the shot you're looking at right now. And then this P200, that is my go-to camera here at the front. That is also running NDI 5. It's P200. So that's a great unit as well. What's going on, Sanaya? How are you? This is Sanaya's her own channel. Pretty awesome. Thanks for jumping on here with us and watching the show. Put your name up there. That's pretty fun. I've never seen that before. Do you have hardware encoding enabled? I would try it, since even the Intel GPUs has QuickSync enabled. Yeah, I am using hardware encode. At least I'm pretty sure I am. So I don't know why I'm having that problem. I can't find anything on the forums that would explain why that is. So I don't know. I don't know what is going on there, but we'll sort it out. I have updated one of the cameras. Does the keyboard yes, the keyboard should definitely also be updated. If you're going to the NDI 5, you need to move all devices over to NDI 5. It didn't recognize it to test. Yeah. You should definitely move the keyboard to NDI 5 or to the latest LTS. I'm sorry. The latest LTS on keyboard is 212. Let me look. One moment, please. Yeah, it should be. Come on now. Keyboard. Yoink. Here we are. Keyboard downloads. Firmware update is drumroll 214 is the latest keyboard, and it should be on LTS 214 before you go before you try and use the NDI 5 update on your cameras, because the LTS, so you know, in accordance with the manual, it says be sure that your camera is running the latest NDI LTS version before going to NDI 5. And then when you go to NDI 5, it should just be a firmware update. And the firmware update will give you the new web UI and all that sort of stuff. But your baseboard needs to be on the last baseboard available in LTS before going to NDI 5. And then as you then update, you should be able to do these updates via web UI. Now, the keyboard is the same. It needs to be on LTS, long-term support. Should be on the latest LTS version so that the keyboard and the camera are talking the same LTS language behind the scenes. And then the firmware goes on top of all of that. So be sure that you've done that in order to get the keyboard to talk to the camera. What camera is that new angle? So I've got multiple new angles. The first angle that you saw is a P110, which is over there, which gives a side view of this shot. This one here is a P400 that's over there on a shelf. And so it sees this additional angle. And then there's one angle that's directly from the side that shows like all blue. That is a PF120. So I'm giving you the gambit of cameras that we've got here available. So I've got a P200, which is this one in front. I've got this is the 110 that's over there. This is the PF120, which is here. And this is, that's my overhead shot. And that's my P400. So a whole bunch of various options to jump around from. And it's all associated on the X keys, which is controlled in vMix, which is pretty awesome. So that is the gambit that you get. You get to kind of see all the different cameras in my studio. Controlled lighting, of course, with this is about 5,000 Kelvin. Maybe it's like 550, somewhere in there. 5,500, sorry. Kelvin for coloration, and then I've got RGBs, and I've got a few other things, but I've got several lights. My hair light isn't even on, which I keep forgetting to turn. Man, I got to get that thing automated. I'm totally going to do that. I'm going to run an extension cord and put that on my main switch because I keep forgetting to turn it on. It definitely is not, NetHab. Thanks for noticing. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right, and now I have my hair light is on. It's just on a simple switch, but of course I rushed in here today, running out of things. The running out of time to get all the things on, so I had to put a lot of stuff back together. Any new update on Play hardware? There is a lot of movement on Play. Obviously, it's a priority for us to try and figure out, get ready to go, and so stay tuned. Nothing that I can reveal here today, but things are moving along with Play, so we should have some news about that shortly. And as soon as we do, I will share it here on the channel. Also, you'll see it on social medias. So feel free to subscribe to our Facebook user group, our Facebook page, the Bird Dog TV page. But of course, also subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is here at birddogjohn.tv. And you'll never miss a show. Try and do some highlight reels and stuff on here too. I've been sending them off to HQ, but I definitely need to just put some highlights in on this channel just so you can see like short snippets and stuff of the actual show. So there you go. I'd be curious to see if the CPU percentage jumps significantly when you start doing recording. It does not, which is the odd thing. Typically, it's in the 65% range, which is what's blowing my mind. I'm trying to figure out why it's causing it to drop frames. I went on to vMix's forums, and they have a list of like for the sure, for the everyday video, here, set it to these settings, and I copied it exactly. and it was still doing it. So I don't know what is causing the error, but hoping that having GPU processing, a good GPU processing it, will solve things. What's going on, Jeremy? How are you? Good to see you again. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for taking some free time or making some free time to join me. Hey, why don't you have Haze going? That's a great question. Mostly because I haven't budgeted that far yet. So thank you, NetHab. Appreciate you looking out for me. John is so geeked about the studio. I love it. I am geeked about my studio. I love it in here. It's come together nicely. I feel like it's got a great it's just so good. Setting aside DMX, home automation stuff makes remote control of studio lighting so easy and cheap. I would agree. And I've got a plug down there that I'm just going to put that hair light on, and it's going to turn that light on at 11 on Tuesdays and Thursdays and shut it off at, I don't know, 2 o'clock, whenever. And then I can manually turn it on if I need to. So Phil Lane says play is moving. I would agree. There is. Phil is sales, so he would know more accurately what it is that we can talk about and what it is we can't. But Phil says it's moving, and I would agree. I would agree. There's that P400. It's almost like I need to up the sharpness on this or something. It's almost like the sharpness isn't. Maybe it's like muted or something. Let's find out what's going on with that P400 real quick. Bird Dog Studio P400. There it is. Give me a moment here, folks. We got to log in. So the P400 is also running NDI 5, and the firmware that it's got on it is 5.4, which is, I believe, the one that's on the website. So there you go. Picture detail mode. Let's see what else we got on here. Noise reduction, contrast, stabilizer off, mirror flip. That's all good. Camera control. Interesting. So there is not really a sharpness setting for this, eh? So let's go ahead and turn this off. I'll jump back to that shot, which is this one here. And there is a detail mode. It's currently set to manual. Oh, I'm sorry. Whoa, that's weird. Set to auto. So in auto, it looks like this. And in manual, it looks terrible. It looks all like crunchy. So let's go ahead and change some of that. And do you guys want to see me actually do this? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So let's cut over here. You can't see the actual camera shot, but that's okay. I do want to manipulate some of this. So crispening is a little ridiculous. If you go this way, it makes it look like you're in some sort of video game. So I'm going to turn that higher, I guess. You'd think it'd be the other way around. But and HV balance, we're going to leave that on 0. We're going to set a limit. Oh man, that's crazy. That is crazy how crunchy that gets. And maybe this is the issue here, is I have these set to the highest values. Highlight details and super low. I'm not too sure what that is. Somebody want to tell me what super low is? Educate Bird Dog John in his own product. That would be awesome. Highlight detail, that doesn't really need to be that high. Actually, I kind of like the way that this looks now. So if we cut over to this shot, it's clearly a fair bit more detail than was before. So if we switch back to auto, see how soft that is? And then we switch it to manual, it really steps up the lines and the detail and all that. So that's pretty cool. So let's go with that. I think we'll turn my playlist back on now. Cycle through the shots. So yeah, that's not too bad. Now I need to turn off this tab in Chrome because it's messing with the GPU. Thanks, Chrome. Thanks for nothing. Thanks for mutton. Name that reference. Look at that sheen off the RE20. Isn't it beautiful? It's a beautiful thing. So I had kept the Netgear 4250 on DHCP. All NDI equipments are on static IP, which is taken care of the GiliNet by the GiliNet router. I'm just concerned that it's been flooded with NDI data from Netgear. Okay, so say that again. You have a 4250. The 42, if you're running a DHCP on a router, then you don't need the 4250 to have any DHCP options. You can just turn that thing off. However, the 4250 will probably be a better DHCP server than your router, just for at least for what you're using it for. But the cameras, so you have set IP addresses in the router for your NDI devices. Is that what you mean? So you've reserved DHCP addresses for that's. I think that's what you're saying. Certainly, you didn't set the products into static while having a router issuing DHCP addresses. So I suspect that's what you mean. Um. So yeah, that's probably good. The you shouldn't like the 4250 will have an internal routing table, and so it knows who's on what port. Like it's cataloging that information on its own. So you shouldn't be flooding NDI data unless you're making, a bunch of connections to decoders, which is then going to open up. If you're running a TCP, it's going to open up individual pathways at 140 megabits per second or more to each of the decoding sources. But generally, if you have cameras going to like vMix or going to Wirecast or something, it's going to know who's who, and it's going to send the packets, down the correct ports. So that's all very good. Um, I don't think you should worry about flooding if that's the case. Even like the broadcast packets and stuff, that shouldn't be the case. If you really want to quiet the network, you should look into Discovery Server. I'm happy to talk to you about that if you want. CPU over 70% is bad for stability. I would agree, and I can attest to that. So we're going to do what we can to alleviate the problems that we're having with vMix by adding some GPU power. Should I add both of them? Tell me in the comments. It is very exciting. It's going to be a huge deal if it goes off the way that we're planning it to go off. Play is going to be a huge deal. But is it playing? We will see. It's moving. We'll find out if it's playing. P400 looks like the contrast isn't correct or the sharpness, like you mentioned. Yeah, and I agree. Something is off. Just cycling through here. This is the PF120. Yeah, it's on a playlist, so it'll show up again in the 400. You let me know if it looks wrong. It looks like the shutter speed is causing blur as well. On the 400? Is that what you mean? Yes, the IP addresses are in the router. Yes, good. Reserved IP addresses is the way to go. You shouldn't have to worry about flooding with a 4250 because it is a managed switch. vMix does not work with dual G. Oh, that's right. I heard that like 3 years ago, and I thought by now they'd have that corrected. But okay, so just single GPU is what we're going for. What if you had a GPU that was like bridged? Those old school SLI bridges? Would it think of it as a single GPU if you were bridging it over like that? Curious, because I have one of those at home, an SLI bridge over two G4 7 or 970s, which were like the minimum for um a lot of gaming, a lot of games like X-Plane 11. That was the lowest you could get. So I bought two of them because they were the cheapest at the time. So yeah, here's the 4250. You're right. The frames something looks wrong with the frames, so we can fix that. Let me turn off my playlist so it stays here, and I'm going to go back to that camera and let's do some more updating. I feel like it's clearly a 4K sensor compared to check this out, compared to the 200. Like, look, the 200, the lines and stuff like around my head and whatever they're clean, but this is like almost sharp, like it's a fair bit sharper. Curious what your opinions are on that. Let's go and check out a couple of things. First, what is my camera set at? So it's at 1080p 5994. So now let's go over to the exposure, yeah, it's set to 1/125, so that's correct. And I don't mind all that. White balance, everything's fine there. So, interesting that it's compared to the 200, check this. Compared to the 200, right? Like, it, like, blurs my hand, but in the 400, my hand is, like, very it's not blurry, it's almost, like, chopped up into frames. So, let's see if we can fix that. Let's see if we go to the exposure, we actually increase it to 1/180. If that changes. Whoa, that's even worse. Well, that's bizarre. Um, here's an idea. Let's open the iris. It may be actually be you know what that is? You you know what that is? That is there it is. That's what it is. So it's the artificial gain causing that to do that. Um, that's fascinating. Let's see if we can correct that. So minimal gain, iris wide open. Whoa, that's so cool. What the? Oh. I know why. I know why. Okay, so if we change this to 1/60, which is what the frame rate is, right? So general rule of thumb, I know I've gone over this before, but general rule of thumb is if you're going to manipulate your exposure and you pick manual, iris priority, or shutter priority, if you pick shutter priority, you need to change the shutter to at least what your frame rate is. So in this instance, I'm running 1080p, and that's 5994 or 60, basically. It's 60 minus 1. And so I want to run in the shutter speed at least 1/60, okay? Or better. So I'm going to go 1/60 on the shutter speed in full manual. My iris is going to be set to f-stop 2.0, and then I'm going to increase the gain ever so slightly as to bring this up to an acceptable level. And so this is at 12 decibels, which I feel like I'm back to where I was, and now my hand is not getting chopped up. It's blurring just like the P200. So I think that that's better. But I'm stuck at 1/60. Now, ideally, you would double. So you'd go 1/125 or 1/100, somewhere in there. So this is 1/125. This is 1/90. And it's just too dark. So I'd have to increase the artificial gain, which is going to cause, well, that's not too bad, but that's going to cause like the blacks to be kind of grainy, and you're not going to have as nice of control over your black level. So if we come back down to 12 and we go then to 60, that's that's okay. I don't mind that. It's a little dull, but it's kind of a fourth shot, which I'm not going crazy over. Now the white balance, then we can manipulate a little bit, and the picture we can kind of get into like the gamma standards and whatever. So we have black gamma level. If we manipulate this at all, ooh. So we'll go like -1. That brings the blacks a little bit closer. And then, whoa. Well, let's go back to 0 then on the gamma. See, that's almost like the blacks are almost like turning blue. Even with the blue lights, they're turning blue. But let's look between the two of these. See these two shots? Like you see how my sweater is it's obviously it's blue on one side because the light's right there, but it's almost turning the blacks blue. That's interesting. Let me jump over to the comments so that you guys can talk with me while I'm doing this. So clearly I am neglecting. You need a serious lighting makeover? Oh, you don't like my lights? Oh, that's sad. I don't feel like I need a makeover in my room. I think my lighting looks good. Problem of dual GPUs. Sorry, back to vMix real quick. So the problem with the dual GPUs is the bandwidth between the cards. It burdensome to get some live stream to both cards. Actually works worse than a single GPU. It's not a factor in gaming, and since they don't pass multiple live sources to the GPU. So it's not something that it can be fixed. Oh, that's sad. I'm waving back at John. Hey, buddy. For those cinematographers, 1/60 at 60 frames is 360-degree shutter. 120 is 180 degrees. Thank you. See, that's why we like NetHab. he has some great insight into what's going on here. So these two shots, though, between the two of them, I feel like their black levels are very similar now. And this is purely subjective, which is really difficult for a support team, by the way, to talk to people about subjective things because what they think is good isn't necessarily what we think is good. But anyways, we go on. All right, I did get to the end of the comment section there, so I am going to let's do a little snacks on stream. We'll get back to your questions.
John's just making up stuff to start drama.
Look, I don't know.
Look at him.
Wish me luck, folks. It's my first Vegemite experience.
Final, this is like cheese flavor or something. It doesn't really look too appetizing.
Good golly, this is something else, man.
Here's the thing about Pop Rocks, and I don't know if I'm the only one like this. Pop Rocks have always been a social experience for me.
I did not think that is what you were going to say. That's hilarious.
That is awful. Oh, God, that's so bad. Jeez. Holy smokes, man.
Oh man, that Vegemite experience at 1:30 in the morning always brings a smile to my face. I don't know about you, how you feel about that, but that was a doozy of a night. And it was a really fun show because you guys all jumped on. And but I was in Melbourne and they had given me this jar of Vegemite. And I ended up passing it on to my direct report, Jamie, because he really enjoys it. And I thought, all the power to you, man. I might as well give this to somebody who's going to like it and not be disgusted every time they try and eat it, and not keep it on a shelf and let it go moldy, or if it even goes moldy, I don't know. But yeah, there you go. So that was fun. The only way to correctly shade a camera for a show is using a color and focus chart. Same lighting in the exact same conditions. I would agree. Instead of just eyeballing it like what I'm doing. That is not the way that you do it. All right. So today, while we chat, today we're having Screamin' Sriracha Doritos brought to you by Balu, who is here in the office with me and enduring the support channel. Now, you all know, if you've been around long enough, that I have eaten like spicy Korean, that 2-time spicy, 1-time spicy, various, spicy foods. And so I feel like my tolerance for spicy food has increased over the ages. And when people write spicy or screaming whatever, and they pretend like it's spicy, or they put flames on the bag, I always have high expectations for them. I really want them to hurt me at that point. But I've been really disappointed. The same thing goes for sour. We had these things, Toxic Waste. It was like a sour candy. And then we had something called Smog Balls, which was also made by Toxic Waste. Really not sour. So I was kind of disappointed with that purchase, unfortunately. But we try things out anyways. And today, here are those Screamin' Sriracha chips that we're going to give a go. They have a really good smell to them. It's almost like a barbecue smell. And then to wash it all down, we're going to use Coca-Cola with coffee, caramel flavored, which I believe Frink made the observation that isn't Coca-Cola already flavored with caramel, so it may not taste too much different, but we'll find out. Hopefully, I'm going to go meet someone at Bird Dog at Broadcast India in 2022, day after tomorrow at the CDM booth. I don't know. Bird Dog Phil, if you're still around, do we have anybody going out to that to the India show? If not, by all means, the next show we will for sure be at is NAB New York and NAB Las Vegas next year. And we're already talking about that one. So pretty excited. Love me some NAB minus the COVID that I contracted this year. Yes, Coke Coffee. Good stuff. I really want them to hurt me. That's today's show title, by the way. Let's go ahead and change the show title to I really want them to hurt me. And then I'm going to probably get dinged on. You cannot change the schedule. You cannot change the name mid-show. Okay, cool. Well, I'll do that after the fact. Sorry, you have. Sorry, you have to be muted during a meeting. I get it. It's totally okay. Yes, I believe that Bird Dog Jason will be there for a few days. Oh man, you get to meet Jason Bach. That guy, he's great. I love Jason. Super friendly, really, really knowledgeable, and really proactive in his zone. So, man, if you get a chance to meet Jason, he is a wonderful person to get to know. We're super fortunate to have him on the Bird Dog team. Yeah, he's great. So hang out with him for a few minutes if you can. Shake his hand. Tell him that Bird Dog John told you to go over and meet him, and that he'd be able to answer your questions. He's a great guy to know. So Bucky is great. Just don't tell him that I said that. I don't know if he rewatches the show or not, but I don't think so. So I think you're safe. All right, here we go. Let's try these out while we continue to answer your Bird Dog questions. It's almost like. All right, well. That's a little kick. Yeah, it's a little kick. It's no spicy Korean, that's for sure. But okay, I can see why they call these. Oh, this one looks like it's well coated. Oh, look at that. Oh, that P110. Check out that detail. Beautiful. That's well coated. So let's see if this one will hurt. A great crunch. Dorito. Did all right with that. Oh, yeah. All right. Honestly, it kind of tastes like plain tacos from Taco Bell. Like beef tacos from Taco Bell. That's what kind of reminiscent of that. So they're good though. Would recommend if you like spicy food. These ones are like, let's say, entry-level spice for this show. I'll take that. We'll eat again. Absolutely. All right. So if you got comments, feel free to drop them into the comments section. If you have questions, that's what we're after here, especially as I drink Coca-Cola with coffee caramel with a remnant of Screamin' Sriracha Doritos. Smells good. Oh. Yeah, that's odd. That's very caramel. Like not just Coca-Cola that's generally flavored with caramel. There's like a strong. I don't know if I can't really detect the coffee. Oh, weird. You should rename this show Trial and Error with Bird Dog John and pick a Bird Dog device every new show, play with it, and take questions live. I mean, I'm happy to take any device you want to talk about. I've got most of them in this office. So, yeah, we can. That's kind of the purpose of Tom Sinclair's show, which segues nicely into tomorrow. I'm going to be on Tom's show. So be sure that you join us. So I think it's like 1 p.m. Eastern over on Eastern Shore Broadcasting. And Tom and I are going to hang out for a little bit, maybe an hour, and chat about whatever he wants to talk about. So that'll be great. Be sure that you subscribe to Tom's show because he's got a great YouTube show, and his is on Wednesdays, and mine are on Tuesday, Thursdays, so they never overlap. But yes, it's kind of what Tom does, and I do that occasionally here. Plug it in, see how it works, So that is the goal. I don't necessarily like shows that like it's all pre-done. So they log in and they like have it all set up already, and look how easy it is. And it's like you didn't show the firmware update process that's required out of the box, and you didn't show the how you fumbled through things and sorted it out. I'd much rather see somebody personally fumble through it because I'm going to fumble through it, and I want to see how they do it. So that's why I show you guys the web UI when I'm adjusting cameras and whatever. If I feel like it's not, I feel like that way it gives you a little bit more to work with. Not feel like it's, that you should already understand it. But Share the link for Tom's show. Sure thing. I'd be happy to do that. Here it is. Oh, wait a minute. That's not what I typed. There we go. Yeah. Be sure you jump over to tomorrow's show. He doesn't have it set up for like a pre-show, but it should go live tomorrow. So synchronize your watches. And Tom's just generally a great guy to know. He's super friendly, really personable. And if you're in the US, he can even set you up with a VMix rig with Bird Dog cameras to kind of like a production in a box type of situation. So, I mean, he'll ship you cameras. He'll build your computer. He'll do whatever you want you to do, but whatever you want him to do. But great guy to know. Full of knowledgeable information about the industry, where it's been. He's been streaming for over 10 years, and providing a show just kind of like this one. I lifted a few pages from his playbook and how we do things here on this show. So he's a great guy to know, and yeah, it's good stuff. So tune in tomorrow for more of my ramblings over on Tom's channel. Yeah. Okay, so back to what we were talking about on Thursday. Unless you have other questions, by all means, throw them in the chat. The question that I had for the general audience was, what things about the Bird Dog NDI ecosystem do you wish there was readily available education on? Because one of the jobs that I've been tasked with is to come up with those videos to be most relevant. And I've decided that it'll be a bit of a course, but we're going to have things about Bird Dog overview and history. We're going to have a section on networking, general networking. We're going to have an NDI networking section. We're going to have a products section covering every product that we have. And then I'm going to have an FAQ section. And so whatever it is that you ask will fit nicely into one of those sections. Kind of the FAQ will kind of be a catch-all of like, here's other stuff that we've made and talked about and whatever. So we would like to include that and be sure that those items are covered. So if you have NDI questions that you wish, I wish this was covered. I wish that somebody had told me about this, or I wish that this was available for education, whatever. Feel free. I'm gonna change this orientation real quick. See if I can get this out of my road so I can see. There. Let's give that a try. Let's see, because it's like right in front of my monitors. Of course, I don't necessarily need 3 monitors, but anyways. So yeah, we definitely want to cover everything that you are wanting, and it would be great to have a big laundry list of all the questions. So if you look on Thursday's show, we did ask some of those questions, but I don't mind. And what I did on Thursday is you sent in the questions and I tried to answer them, and that a way that formulates the information in my brain to figure out how to work it into existing videos I'm already planning, or if I need to make a new video about it. So go ahead and ask. I'd be happy to cover those things off with you in real time, but also include those in the course or put them in a video that I'm already making. So we got a lot of content that's being created, which is part of the reason why I asked Michael Graves about my recording issue that I was having. I will take a hot second, move my Screamin' Sriracha chips out of the road, and see. I heard the UPS guy come in. We've got an awesome UPS delivery guy, and hoping that my stuff was delivered. It was giggity goo. I am going to go and unbox one of those GPU units. So I'm going to be right back. Give me a hot second and I will, let's do this together. I think that'll be a good idea. I'm super excited about this. So hang tight. Yes, it has arrived. All of the fun things that I want to play with are now here. So fantastic. Actually, before I do this, let me grab the GPU as well. It's just sitting right here. Be right back. Oh yeah. All right, here we go. RTX 4000. Let's see what cables come with this eGPU item. And remember, folks. Oh no! I didn't bring my knife. Crap. I gotta do this like a barbarian. Here we go. So what is this, John? Well, this is a eGPU, which should allow me to add a GPU unit to my vMix machine. Obviously, I'm not going to get to plug it in while I'm live streaming. But I'm going to definitely put it together while I'm live streaming. Good times. So this is an eGPU breakaway box 750EX. I bought it on Amazon. It's like $350 or so. And it's made by Sonnet, who make all sorts of great equipment, by the way. This is the one that works with the M1 Max, just in case I want to move it over to a Mac Mini, because that is what we run here in the office for a lot of our stuff. So let's go ahead and get this Jesse out of here. And then I'm just going to very casually toss that stuff away. Here it is. Pretty awesome. It is like Christmas. So good times, great only. I've subscribed to Tom's channel. Awesome, Go Web. He is a great person to know. Great resources. Super knowledgeable, way smarter than me. So check him out. All right, so this is really cool. So we've got, oh man, all sorts of stuff on here. We've got lightning cable connection. The box, this says the box will not power on until it's connected to an awake computer via Thunderbolt. That's cool. It's a decent size. It's got really nice LEDs and stuff inside from what I've seen online. So that's all cool. And little thumb screws that just undo. Actually, let's kill the playlist real quick and cut over to this side shot so you can kind of see on the, this is decent size. It's like a little GPU, or it's like a little, one of those mini CPU units. So that's really nice. I'm excited. The same as you are seeing new gadgets get delivered. It is like Christmas. You're right. That is how I feel. Okay, so now we got to pull this case off of here. Okay, just like that, I guess. Just like a mini CPU, a mini computer. I built a shuttle for a video security camera system ages ago. And I just used this. It was about this size, and it built like a small computer basically that allowed you to, I remember my camera's over here, that allowed you to basically have everything inside. Well, this is literally something to power a GPU. That's all this is. And so I already have the GPU. You can put whatever one you want in there. I don't need this cable, evidently. So you can put whatever you want. And we're going to undo this little thing and take off the guard. Oh, and I'm going to need a screwdriver now to take off the plates, which is fun. Yoink. So let's close that down. Do I have any tools in here? I don't even have a knife. Man, I came ill prepared to do this on the show today, evidently. Anyway, so inside is super simple. You can barely see that, but you can see the one slot there for the actual GPU to go into. There's a 750 watt power supply inside, and then it's got multiple fans to provide cooling and what have you, which you would expect, obviously. So on here on my GPU, I need to remove. I have a riser on here that I need to remove, and the Quadro 4000, super nice. So we're going to load this up. We're going to power this accordingly. It's all taped in here and Velcroed, so it's going to take a little bit of work to get all of that kind of nice and tidy. But a really simple device, and then you just plug it in via Thunderbolt, and it provides you with an external GPU. So that is awesome. The other thing that I ordered was an actual fiber card, an SFP Plus fiber card, which also I have an external chassis for. So this is just a PCIe card. This was $100 or something like that. Not too bad. Don't forget your driver. Who knows if I'm going to need that. And then this is super simple. It just has a mini. It just has a mini thing on there. That's lame. Why doesn't it have the full one? Anyway, super straightforward. Couple of SFP Plus cages on there. We're going to see what sort of performance we can get out of that. Because the full blade is right there. It's already installed. So we're going to see how that works, if it works. Let's pop that open. It has a little like cooling grid on it. That's hilarious. But yeah, pretty straightforward. Couple of SFP Plus cages, which then we can attach to another Sonic cage that I have, which will do several cards. But now I can go directly out of my vMix machine over 10 gigs instead of these NUC cards that only do 1 gig. So pretty awesome there. Let's just go ahead and plug this in. Yes, Sonnet, those are awesome. Okay, great. I'm glad to hear it because I like one. Oh, shoot. Is the music still playing in the background? I'm sorry, folks. Hang on one second. Oh, wait. No, it's done, right? It finished? The song finished? My bad. I didn't replug in my headphones, so normally I can hear through the monitor what's going on. Yeah, okay, it's over now. So yeah, music for unboxing. Greetings from Mexico. Hi, David Garcia. How are you? Thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate that. I love that you're just manhandling that GPU. No static strap or anything. Nah, come on, man. We don't mess around in this office. Small screws that might have come inside the box that you just threw away. Yeah, I'll get them. No worries. The screws actually for the actual unit are screwed into the unit, so you can't lose them. Well, you can, but you have to unscrew them and then throw them away. So is that just a single slot on it? Yes, this one is just a single, and the other one that I have is a double. And so I was going to try and put the GPUs in there, and then come to find out you can't put the GPUs in there. So you have to buy this one, which is for eGPUs. And so I'm going to use the other one for testing with the fiber cards. And I'm super excited about that because I think it's going to give amazing horsepower. And also, when we switch offices, we're going to be doing some networking stuff. And that's going to be, we're going to have some fiber through the building over there too. So good times. Oh, that was you. I was like, dang, we're getting a lot of packages today. Greetings from Uganda. What's going on? Thanks for jumping on the show. That is crazy that you're checking in from Uganda. Love it. I have some friends that just came back from Uganda, actually. So do the unboxing videos. Do tear off instead. Don't do unboxing videos, dude. Yeah, pretty excited about some of these items because they are going to hopefully elevate our production level here at the office. And so let's keep eating these spicy srirachas while we talk about all this stuff. Really good. Really like them. Okay. So without a screwdriver, hey, Balu, if you're still watching, would you bring me a Phillips head screwdriver? And we'll manhandle this Quadro into the Sonic case. Actually, I hope there's some cables inside the Sonic case because, first of all, I didn't see any. Not in there. This is just the shell. Maybe they're in the foam that I threw across the room. 1 second. Okay, yes. So, a couple of cables. Ooh, that sriracha chip sneaks up on you afterwards, eh? That's I like that actually. I like the little surprise, that little spicy surprise afterwards. Okay, plug back into my ears so I can hear what's going on here. So, power cable is pretty straightforward. This, though, must be the Thunderbolt cable, which is delicately wrapped in bubble wrap. Ooh, and there's Balu. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, so Balu has delivered. And now grab a Phillips. Boom. Let's drop these screws on the floor. No, I'm just kidding. Pull these out of here. These should be... Oh, well, dropped it on the floor. So these should be the thumb screws. These two right here. It's kind of a shame that it isn't. But, all right, there. 1, 2. Okay, plates are out. And now we just got a single. So we'll put one of those plates back in when we line everything up. Nice and easy. Or according to Jeremy, manhandle my GPU. I don't know about manhandle. I feel like I treat it with the same respect I would treat anybody. Well, that's interesting. So the screw doesn't necessarily line up perfectly. Oh, maybe it's this one. Ah, there we go. There's several ways of fastening this screw down. And the only hole that lines up is this one, which is actually too small. Fantastic. All right, well, we'll go this way then. I just lost one of the screws. We'll have to pick that up in a second. There we go. Tighten this down. Excellent. Yep. Okay, now for power. So they give you all sorts of power. 750 watts, which is clearly enough. But PCIe right here. Okay. Very good. Make sure she sits next to each other. All right. We're all kind of put together, which is great. Now we just got to put the case back on and put that other plate back in. And I'm going to have to recover that screw that fell on the ground in order to do that. But I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful that this eGPU is going to increase my vMix productivity. So if you're just returning to the channel after a month hiatus, you might be thinking, has John completely lost his mind? He's talking about vMix like he likes it. Listen, although there was some sort of yes, it wasn't for me at the time. I have found a great use case. I found a great use case for vMix. And I now use vMix, but I'm trying to get it to work as best I can. And the guy to give credit for that is Tom Sinclair, whose show I will be on tomorrow. I think that's still the plan. So I'm trying to increase the performance of my vMix machine because I want to obviously have the best production I possibly can. And that's going to take it's going to take a little time to figure that all out. So have a little eGPU. We'll see how that goes. Drop a link for the gadgets that you've purchased. This might help somebody planning to do something similar. You need a top-down shot so we can see what you see. Yeah, okay. For 750 watts, they're expecting you to have a 39 Ti. Yeah, well, that is the truth. Okay, I do have a top-down shot. Let me see if I can stop this. I'm gonna have to clear off part of my desk, but let's see if I load up top-down. Okay, it's looking at this. So let's move this and these. And now I put this here. All right, cool. So, yeah, there's a couple of PCIe units there. Let's cut over now. There's a couple of PCIe slots here, but basically, power watt 750, Quadro 4000, RTX 4000. Everything's powers in PCIe units. Then there's top-down cooling, and there's a fan on the side as well that's supposed to cool the backside of it. So we'll see how it goes. But then this thing is the one that is appropriate for M1 Max, as well as PCs and whatever. So the link. Pull that up real quick. Link your orders. This one. Control C. Here is the unit that I'm using. Obviously, I don't know why I clicked on that. I had a question here from Facebook user. Any news on Dante for Bird Dog hardware? No, currently not. There is no movement on the Dante 4 hardware version. I suspect that will come after NDI 5 is done. And obviously they're working on that right now to get all that finished. So Bird Dog the Bird Dog page did not allow me to post the Amazon link. So if you're watching on Facebook, you have to jump over to birddogjohn.tv to click that link. Birddogjohn, Jon. Here, I'll do you one better. Jump over to yoink birddogjohn.tv, and that's where you can grab that. So NDI 5, then Dante, then Silicon 2. No, that's not what I said. I said it will be after NDI 5, but I do not know the order. I haven't been told the order, unfortunately. Or fortunately, maybe they're trying to figure out which is the next tangible thing. I know that they've been working on the Dante for hardware stuff for quite a while, and so that may be what's happening. Is most of our engineering resources are behind the NDI 5 camera release and the quad beta release. Okay, so that's where their focus is. So when a major project finishes, then they're going to divvy up the engineering stuff to kind of figure out who's who and where do we need to put our resources. So hi from Greece. That's cool. What's going on, Yan? It's good to see you. Thank you for stopping by the show. I really appreciate that. And you too, live on iPhone. Good to see you again from Warsaw, Poland. Cheers. It's always good to have you back on the show. So how about that new quad beta that Dan announced a few hours ago? How about it? What do you want to talk about? If you were here for the whole show, you would have already heard all this. We did talk about it. I have no issue talking about it again. For the most part, it is a step in quad because go down the wrong tube. This is a step forward for quad because it's just a beta. Yeah, it's not going to go on the website. It's just a beta. It's in the beta and it's in the user group. Dan posted it because he was hopeful that it would be useful for a few people who were noticing a couple of things that they were having issues with. So they did some fixes while they're working on the bigger quad update. So this update, there's a post on that Facebook post that shows how the quad can be used right now to get multiple streams going to it. So the cage is totally accessible. You could use an actual Ethernet cage, the actual Ethernet cage on there with an SFP plus port, go fiber into your switch and get 10 gigs that way. However, they've noticed an issue with the way that Windows is sending multiple streams of NDI out the port. And in particular, it's causing an issue with SFP. So if you're using SFP out of a Windows machine to send multiple 4K streams, there's a problem. If you're using Linux and doing that, there doesn't seem to be a problem. It's Windows only. So BirdDog has taken it on themselves to try and figure out what the solution might be, and they're spending time and resources navigating that. But Dan has posted how to do it, how it should look, maybe how you want to set things up. Basically, coming out of Windows over 1 gig is no problem. Coming out of Windows in 10 gigs, there seems to be some sort of issue, but it's only Windows. It's not for Linux. So plug your computer and all your gadgets, all your Windows-based things in via 1 gig Ethernet, Cat6, and then plug in your BirdDog devices with 10 gigs SFP plus, and you'll be fine. So yes, it's an incremental update. They're working like crazy. They're trying to do like these incremental ones while also working on the big one, right? And quad is long in the tooth. We're trying really hard to get it done. It's been out for a while now, and we need to have it finished. So that is the number one priority. As you also probably read, that the NDI 5 camera stuff is expected sometime in the next week or two. And so that finished non-beta firmware should be made available on our website. But that's where we're at. That's the current state of things. And we don't want quad to just keep going without updates, no updates, no updates. We want people to see progress. And that's a double-edged sword, because some people will see that as great progress, like NetHab, and some people see that as it's still not done. And so you have to take that, you have to take all of that data and make as much usefulness as possible. I can promise you this, okay? The guys are working like dogs to get this done, and they're full on sorting out what the firmware needs to be, what it needs to look like, what the release notes need to be, what the manuals need to say, all that stuff. It's a huge project to undertake. They're trying to get it to a place where it can get the features that were promised out the door. So bear with us. This incremental update can help some folks in certain situations. We find that it does provide stability across larger installs. So read the notes that Dan posted on the Facebook user group and decide for yourself whether or not you want to go ahead and try it. And then please report back. You can, of course, come to my show, tell me how it's going for you, or you can shoot us an email at help@birddog.tv. Let me throw that up there real quick while I'm thinking about it. Please drop us a line and just let us know kind of what it is that you've discovered, and we can certainly walk with you, send that information back to HQ, whatever we need to do. Check that out. My CPU is at 100%. You definitely can tell. Why are you at 100%? I don't understand. All I did was turn on this thing on the actual stream. Man, that's brutal. I literally have Chrome open and vMix open. Ugh, brutal. Come on, StreamYard. Having small incremental updates gives a feeling of progress, so I'm all for it. Excellent, NetHab. I'm glad you feel that way. We need more people like you to be vocal about that sort of stuff. Windows and 10 gig have caused problems with other manufacturers as well. Do you care to share more? That might be beneficial in more ways than you think. On my BirdDog, sometimes I have issues where I have plugged in HDMI and plugged in again. I have to plug in my HDMI and plug it up. Which device are you referring to, GoWeb? Tell me which device, and I'll tell you what I know, because that traditionally goes back to something called EDID, and I can share with you a little bit more about that. vMix is a very selfish software. What's going on, Fernando? Thanks for jumping on. I didn't say it. Fernando said it, everybody. It wasn't me that said it. No, actually, vMix seems to be behaving fairly consistently. Just at random, this computer just fires up at like 100% for some reason. So, hey, that's why I got the Sonnet eGPU. We're going to find out how that works. As soon as I'm done here, I'm plugging that, Jesse, and you better believe it. And then on Thursday, we're definitely going to play around with that a bit. So 4K Flex in. Okay, so the 4K Flex in, that's it, Chrome, Jeremy says. Maybe I answered my own question, right? So the Flex in doesn't really have a very sophisticated EDID. Matter of fact, and we're looking into ways that we can remedy this because it's used in AV spaces a fair bit. So the thing that I would really suggest is, do you have is it a camera you're plugging into the Flex, or is it like a computer? What are you doing with the actual unit? Because if it's a camera, then you generally already know what the resolution is going to be, and you can turn off the auto function and just set it inside the Flex in. The Flex in, that drop-down menu is not a scaler. You're telling the unit what resolution to expect. And so if you set it to something and it doesn't get that resolution, it's just not going to show anything. It's not a scaler like a decimator or something like that. It's just to tell it what to expect. Well, in full auto, it will expect, generally, it'll look through all of it. If it gets whatever it is, it'll snap to that resolution. That is mostly done for computer's sake or for people that are changing out cameras and whatever. It's mostly done for computers because computers can send a variety of resolutions. But with a computer plugged into a Flex in, you have to tell it what to output, like what resolution to output. So if it's a camera, it will, which you posted here, this is a camera. So if it's a camera, just figure out what the output is on the HDMI and then just set it manually inside Flex in, and then we'll always expect that resolution. So when you unplug the camera and plug it back in, it will always look for that resolution all the time. That should take the auto function out of it, because maybe the camera isn't sending the complete EDID for that, but it's always that resolution. So you can manually set it to always snap to that resolution instantly, and that should take that problem away. Got it. I'll follow your instructions. Check. Yes, and please report back. That would be awesome. I'm just kidding. It's excellent software. I have studios all around the world using vMix as their main switcher. Yes, and it is. It does a fine job for what it is, and it has a wide margin of the market, and so they do a fine job. There's just a couple of things. I'm kidding. It's fine, and I use it, and I find it to be actually quite user friendly, which is great, because in this industry, people can make things that they think make sense to them, but it really isn't. So vMix does a good job in making their products accessible. I can't get over. These chips are really good. Big fan. Will that big fan quiet down? Which one? This one in the unit? That massive fan that's on here? We'll see. Look at the size of that. I'll show you. Look at the size of that fan. That's got to be a 120 or bigger. If not, I could always buy a quiet fan, like a high volume quiet fan. Although I'm not too sure how that. Oh, it's on the bottom. Huh. We'll see. We will see. We'll see how powerful it is. I could just plug it in and see if the fan kicks on. It might be a quiet. You would think it would be, because it's specifically made for video rendering. So that's one of its primary markets. All right. I'm really happy with these Doritos. Actually, what I'm sad about is that they're all gone. Bigger fans are usually quiet. TPU box doubles as a vacuum. Oh, great. I'm going to have to get a long Thunderbolt extension and plug it in out in the lobby. Run it into my computer. What is the maximum? There's a question. What's the maximum length of a Thunderbolt cable? Anybody? Bueller? Be curious to know how long. I mean, I'm sure we could Amazon it, but I'd have to open up a Chrome tab, which would probably cause my computer to have a hernia while on stream. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be a great little experiment. 9 feet for Thunderbolt 3. That's not very long. Bummer. All right. Well, NetHab to the rescue again. Well, this looks like a maybe like a 2-footer. So we'll give her a go. Have a go, as my elementary teachers used to say. John's just gonna have a go. My mom's like, he's not gonna have a go. He's gonna try. Anyway, that's a story for another day. All right, folks. It is 12:30, which means I need to giddy up and get some work done today. Thank you so much for joining us today on the show. I really appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe to birddogjohn.tv. We're trying to build up our subscribers over there so that we can do some stuff. And that would be great if you would join us at that channel. Subscribe there on YouTube. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Eastern Shore Broadcasting. I'm going to be on that show tomorrow afternoon. I think it's 1 p.m. Eastern time. Need to verify with Tom, I guess. But it's Tom St. Clair's show, and we're going to have a chat with him, and it'll be a lot of fun. So I'm excited to hang out with Tom, and to do that, we will definitely give it a go tomorrow. But I'm going to put all this together and then come back on Thursday, and we'll talk about it and see where I'm at and how that system's going. And finally, reach out to us at the help desk if you have something going on in your life that you need Bird Dog help with. We can certainly be available as best we can to do that. I've got a great team that works here in Auburn Hills, and our team is growing. Next week, we'll have a new employee, and then in November, we'll have another one. And so the team is getting bigger so that we can be faster at responding, but also spread out the workload a little bit because it's getting a little heavy. So Senseless can tell you that is exactly the truth. And Senseless, speaking of which, Thunderbolt links are historically small, unfortunately. It was a problem when I worked at Apple whenever professional editors wanted to know. Yeah, 9 feet is not very long, unfortunately. Always a pleasure, Jeremy. Same. Really appreciate you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks. We'll see you tomorrow on Tom's Live. Good. Join us tomorrow and subscribe to Tom's show. It's great stuff. Tomorrow you'll have a go at him. It's true. I will. I have nothing but good things to say about Tom, so I don't know what I can say, but anyways, we'll have a chat with him tomorrow over on his channel, and then back here on Thursday for a whopping hour or more here at Bird Dog Live. So I'm going to turn off this banner, and we're going to run an outro, and then we're going to go from. I never even ran the Bird Dog intro for today. I'll do it on Thursday for sure. Hopefully you're doing well, folks. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you in the next one. Cheers.